Alright, so this is a grip module for a 2011 Springfield Prodigy. I just wanted to kind of show a little bit on how to fit an Atlas trigger. A lot of people upgrade the triggers on these 2011 Prodigies. So some of the things that you're going to want to look at when you fit it. So right here in this corner, and the same thing in the other corner, you're going to want to remove just the slightest bit of material. And it could differ, I'd imagine, from grip to grip and trigger to trigger, but this is what I had to do with mine. So I removed just the slightest bit of material in here and on this corner, and then down in here. So this upper lip and this upper lip, so that this is where the trigger bow rides in on both sides. So you want to take a look at this corner and then this whole top of this bottom shelf, and then the same thing, this corner, if it would focus, this corner, and then the whole underside. So under here, this whole shelf right here, this one right here. You'll see what I'm saying here in a second when I take the trigger and put it in, because then you can see where I was talking about. You want to make sure that that bow doesn't drag or touch. And then the same thing right up in here where you don't really see any light. But if you look at that angle, you can see that little bit of light right there. And then the same thing right there. You can see that little spot of light coming through. So that's due to the height of the trigger. You can see that it doesn't quite fit all the way to the top. Right there, there's a gap. But due to the shape of the trigger, that back lip right there, that's what can hang up or not have enough room to go all the way forward. So it's literally just the slightest bit of material to allow that to seat all the way forward on both sides. And then in those corners, you want to make sure that there's no drag, there's no binding. Same thing in this one. Or make sure there's no drag, no binding. And then the other way that you test it is just pull the trigger and make sure that it's face down. Make sure that it moves freely without any issues, no matter what you do, that it doesn't ever hang up. And once you get that done, you're pretty much good for the most part. But I haven't seen a video that specifically talks about that. So furthermore, on the Atlas trigger, these little tabs can be bent forward. And that's what's gonna adjust. Try to put this in by watching the video. So that's gonna adjust the take up. So like when you first touch the trigger and there's that little bit of take up, like the trigger moves a little bit before you hit the wall, that's what those little tabs are for. You can adjust that take up out of there to a certain extent. And then this screw down here on the bottom, that's for when the safety's in, the mag release, not the safety, when the mag release is in. So when you pull the trigger, it actuates the sear and the hammer drops. Well, that little screw is going to be for once that hammer drops, how much more that trigger moves after it's already done its job. So if it broke right there and the trigger dropped and then the trigger moved that much more, you can adjust that screw in, and then it will hit the mag release. I believe that's what it does. It hits the mag release. So that's the like over travel. That's the over travel, and you can adjust that just with the Allen wrench from right here. But that one up there, that's not an adjustment. That's what the actual trigger screws onto the bow. So it's only the bottom one for the adjustment, and then those two tabs. But another way that you can play with the trigger to figure out this fitment, you can take that actual trigger shoe, you can take that off of the bow, just screw it off, and then you can actually put it in this way. So you can slide it in there and hold it and try to see how it fits, where it drags, where it's tight, where it isn't, because trying to feed it in through the back is a bit more difficult, and then you don't have the same control over it as you would by doing it from the front to check to see how smoothly and where it's hanging up. But it's just something I wanted to show about the Prodigy. They're pretty popular, and a lot of these parts, they all need fitting. You know, they're not just drop in. But as long as you look into it, take your time, it's really not that difficult. Just don't rush it, you know. But I think that's about it for this video.